Lovestruck not having any apartments in the new world was one of my biggest disappointments with the entire pack. And maybe that's my own fault for like hyping it up in my mind, but I really expected the world to be sort of similar to Eco Lifestyles, where it had mostly regular lots and then a couple of small apartments. So when it didn't have any, I was really sad about it. It did come with penthouses instead, which is kind of cool. We don't really have very many of those, and we haven't gotten any since City Living in like 2017. I just personally don't really care for penthouses that much. But get this, in the new update that came out this week, they added the ability to build residential rental lots on penthouses. Up until just a few days ago, you could never do that. You couldn't make apartments on top of a penthouse lot. And that was one of my biggest issues with For Rent a few months ago, because I really wanted to use those big lots in San Myshuno to make custom apartments. But they finally changed it, so we can build residential rentals on these penthouse lots. So that's the plan today. I'm gonna bulldoze this, and I'm gonna make my own custom apartment building in this world. So this is what we're gonna be building on top of, and I'm gonna try my best to have our apartments kind of match the vibes of this building. I want it to look like it actually makes sense that this is sitting on top of it. I wish I had known about this when I made my review about the pack, because honestly, it would have made me like the world a tiny bit more. It still has no apartments, but before I was really sad about having to bulldoze the community lots to make them, but at least now I can still do it on top of the penthouses. I think that's enough introduction though, so let's go ahead and dive straight into the speed build, and I'll show you what I made. I actually built this on Tuesday, like right after the update came out, because I was so excited about it. It was the first thing I did. And the beginning of this video is going to be a little bit weird because we're going to be switching versions of the game in the middle of this one. You probably noticed that for the past week or so, I've been posting early access videos playing with Lovestruck, but I have that weird game version with the watermark and there's no gallery. That's called the CFE version of the game. It's like a special limited time only early access. They started doing this back in 2020 kind of as a response to COVID, because before they used to fly Sims creators all the way to California to play the packs early at their studios in San Francisco. And then obviously with COVID, they couldn't do those Sims camps anymore. So they kind of made this second version of the game so we could still get early access and still have that like limited time special event thing, but now do it from home instead. It's obviously evolved a bunch over the years, because back in the day at those Sims camps, first of all, I don't want to sound ungrateful because it was like the best thing in the entire world. I loved getting to do that, but you really couldn't make that much content, and it wasn't really good content that you would film there either, because they had like literally a gym, like a half basketball court, and they would just set up a ton of computers in there and we would all play on them. And you maybe had like 4 hours to play, but you had to fly all the way to San Francisco for it, and you couldn't film any audio because you're in a room with like 100 other people. So you'd come back with some footage, but not really a lot of footage. Nothing like what I've been posting for the past week, obviously, because when I film it at home, I can have my voice, I can have my camera, I have time. But they were just really overly cautious about leaks back then, obviously, which makes sense. And they also had to do those events, honestly, a lot sooner than this CFE access is, because they had to like have time to fly everybody out there. So the game was more unfinished software than it is now. And then you cut to now with the CFE game. And the reason we have to do this is because they can't give you access to the pack without the base game update being out. They can't just give you like a code because it won't work. It obviously needs the update to function properly. So they give us a second version of The Sims 4 in our EA app that has just the base game and the new pack. And again, to be overly cautious about leaks, it has no gallery access, so you can't share anything. It's got the watermark. It has some kind of weird quirks, like every time you open it, it marks everything from the pack as being new again. It's sort of like if you freshly installed the pack every time you played The Sims, which doesn't sound that bad, but like imagine you start working on this build and then you close your game for the night and you come back again tomorrow and all of the gold icons are showing up in build mode again. It does get a little annoying, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm just telling you that to kind of explain the situation. So basically, when the update came out on Tuesday, we could finally get real codes and like have the game properly to play on our regular Sims games instead. Because once the update is out, the codes are gonna work. It just takes them some time to get the codes out. So I started my stream on Tuesday playing in the CFE version of the game, just waiting for the codes to drop. And honestly, I kind of feel bad for the team over there because they sent out codes and they didn't work. This is like an app issue, okay? It was pretty bad because like everybody was live waiting on them. The first codes we get, you go to try and redeem them on EA, they work, but you can't install the pack yet. This happened with Crystal Creations too, where the first batch of codes we got didn't work. And that's because I think there was like a permission caption messed up or like some sort of setting wrong, because obviously the pack wasn't out yet. So the EA app is like, okay, you own this, but you can't use it until it comes out on Thursday. Kind of like if you pre-ordered it, basically. That's not how the early access codes are supposed to work. So we had to wait until they could get new codes reissued. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. It only took a couple hours, but it was just funny because I was live when it was happening. So I'm streaming and like the whole chat's waiting, you know? Anyway, all of that to say, I started this version of the build with that CFE game, and then we're gonna switch it. We're gonna bring the save file into the main game once I get my code, and then we'll have all the packs. So in the beginning, it's just base game and the new pack, and then we end up furnishing the apartments with more of the pack content. So here's kind of a rundown of what we're building and sort of what it looks like. In my mind, I was sort of channeling Florida with this. Obviously, the world is inspired by Mexico, but I'm from Florida, and we have some slightly similar architecture styles, okay? So I was kind of channeling a lot of the apartment buildings you might find here, although we don't really have that many high-rise apartments, and we don't have a lot of these like big solid glass windows or anything. It depends where you are, but it's not as common. I mean, there is a downtown to Orlando, but Orlando is really sprawling. She's very suburbs, if you will, but it kind of has like a stucco exterior. It's very beige. The whole building is kind of beige with the beige tiles and stuff, but it matches the main building, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted it to look like it actually belonged on the roof up here, and I did struggle with that a little bit because mine is kind of, I don't want to call it lopsided, but obviously like the left side is the building and the right side is a bit flatter because I have a patio space. I wanted to have that rooftop bar, but I didn't want it to seem like too weird and out there. So that was kind of a struggle. I went back and forth on that a lot. I think that in the end it made sense. It just took me some time to get the building to not be shaped weirdly, but we got there. So downstairs, this patio space you're seeing is public access for all of the tenants in this building. They've got a pool, they're gonna have a grill and a bar, and they also have like a little front door space by the elevator, which is where they spawn in. I've explained this before, but I'm gonna kind of try to explain it again about how the elevators work in The Sims. This has been such an annoyance to me ever since City Living first came out years ago. There basically is not functional elevators in The Sims 4. We kind of all know this. There's no animation to them. The doors don't open. Your Sims don't walk in and out. They literally just like fade in next to them. The elevator is essentially a spawn point in The Sims 4. So when you put the elevator down on one of these penthouses, that's where they're gonna spawn into the lot. If you're building a regular lot, for example, there's a preset spawn point, usually just like right out front on the sidewalk or something. But here you have to pick where it is so the game knows where to send your Sim. So the mail person will go there. The pizza delivery person will go there. Your neighbor that comes to visit will spawn right there. You will spawn there when you come back home. So like when your kid gets back from school, they'll just fade in right next to the elevator. And because of that, you can't put more than one elevator on these lots. If you try to eyedropper copy it, it tells you, hey, you can only have one of these. There are sort of ways around it. Like if you copy the entire room, it'll let you place a second one. You just can't go in and out of build mode if you've done that. So you might see some people being like, no, you can have two elevators, but you can't really because it doesn't work when you do that. I'm sure there are mods for that, but with the regular game without mods, you can't have more than one. So in real life, you'd probably have a whole elevator that just goes up and down the entire building for this, right? Like elevator access to the third floor. In this building though, we can't do that. So instead we have an elevator and then stairs next to it. So there's a big stair hallway. You'd probably have stairs also as like a fire escape plan, but I so badly wish we could have had real elevators going all the way up and down. Sometimes I'll build like a fake elevator shaft so it looks more realistic. With this one, because it was kind of small, I didn't do that. I didn't put space for like the elevator to pretend to go upstairs. I did that a little bit in a high school that I built kind of recently. I haven't posted it on YouTube yet, but I will probably like next month. I've been a little bit distracted by the pack, okay? I've got sort of a backlog of builds, but I'll explain that more in that video in a little bit. I just kind of wanted to explain sort of how that works. I saw some people commenting on one of my VODs, like my second channel video, More Simsie, about this, and they were sort of expressing frustration about how if The Sims ever adds disabilities, like how is this elevator thing gonna work? And if they did, they would have to update the elevators. Like it just couldn't work like this anymore. They have to completely change it. I would love to have real functional elevators. I think that would be a huge thing to have in this game. I just don't know if they have plans to do that anytime soon. I mean, they didn't do it with this, and this was a good opportunity too. So I don't know. It's gonna take us getting another pack that has like a reason to have elevators. It's sort of similar to the issue of the penthouses not letting you have residential rentals. Like they didn't do it with the first pack in the first time with For Rent. But then with this, they kind of had a chance to go back and revisit penthouses, so they had more time to work on it and make the residential rentals work on this. So I don't mean to say that like disabilities or elevators would be pack restricted, but if they did it, they would probably do it around a time where it makes sense too, because they're already working on that kind of thing. Honestly, kind of similar to like Growing Together. Obviously, Growing Together is kind of an infant pack. The infants are base game, but they had good reason to like really work on the infants behind the scenes because they were also making a pack about that kind of stuff. Or like to update the newborn babies and all of those things, they were sort of already working on it, so it makes sense to be doing it around that time. Anyway, hopefully I'm getting my point across. I should probably explain the penthouse a little bit more for a second, because we've got the floor plans figured out now. We have 3 floors total in this building. The first floor is 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, kind of a bigger apartment. The second floor is 2 different 1-bedroom apartments. And then the third floor is another 2-bedroom apartment. So in total, there's 2 2-bedrooms and 2 1-bedrooms. And I furnished them all, and they're all furnished very differently and very specifically style-wise. I didn't actually make any Sims to live here, but I was kind of envisioning who might live here in my head. So I'll walk you through that more once we're actually starting to decorate them. I do actually really like these apartments. As a person who plays a lot of The Sims and who really enjoys playing in apartments, these are like the perfect sized apartment for me. I really love to have these sort of smaller apartments. I love to have balconies because it's nice to have outdoor space for your Sims. This is the kind of thing that like if the Sims team were to have made apartments for real, I'd want them to be like this. If they had put apartments in this world, I would have hoped they were this size. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but one of my biggest issues with city living is just how big all of the apartments are. Like most of them are kind of giant. I would prefer to have some big ones and have most of them be small. I'm also just the kind of person that prefers to have my Sims live in smaller houses most of the time. I don't really like big, wide open, like fancy, modern, big houses. I prefer like smaller, more cluttered, kind of cozier style Sims builds. That's way more my vibe. So I kind of prefer smaller apartments. I love to have a tiny apartment in this game. If I had to pick one of them to live in for real with my own Sims, it would be the 1-bedroom on the middle floor that's kind of like a pink color scheme. I'll show you once we start decorating it, but that's my favorite one. We are finally kind of starting to furnish these apartments now. So I started off with the bottom floor one and it was very brief. I decorated the kitchen and then I was like, oh, let's go upstairs. I very instantly changed my mind. I figured I should mention it because we do jump around a little bit and it can be kind of confusing in this video. But I knew on the downstairs floor, I wanted this one to be more of like a family apartment. It's very colorful and bright. And then on the top floor, which we're switching to now finally, this one I wanted to be a little bit more modern because it's kind of like the penthouse of the penthouse. And this one I was picturing belonging to maybe a couple of roommates. I'm just trying to visualize how I see myself playing with this pack. And I like the idea of playing with like a bunch of single Sims and like having a lot of dates and going out with people. And I don't really want these two to date each other because I want to have them both date other people from the new Cupid's Corner app, you know? Because it feels like that's the best way to play with the pack. You almost don't want to start off with like a pre-made couple with this pack. You kind of want to have someone who's single that can meet people in game. But this one, I was kind of picturing, honestly, Penny Pizzazz a little bit when I was decorating it. I was like, she would love this. This one's for her. But it's all pink and black. It's got some kind of trendy stuff. It has this cool rose light. It's got the lip couch, these pretty marble floors, all these pink chairs, fuzzy rugs. I mean, I loved doing this. And this one is pretty much exclusively base game and Lovestruck because still at this point, I didn't have any other packs. It wasn't until after we finished this one that things kind of started going downhill in the pack department. It could be a good thing depending on how you look at it because I've been building pretty much entirely pack restricted stuff for like 2 weeks on YouTube. So it's nice to do some pack things, but you do feel a little bit bad when all of a sudden you've used 30 packs in your Sims video. Because I started this thinking, okay, it won't be like pack limited, but maybe I'll try to use, you know, just For Rent and Lovestruck and a handful of game packs. And then all of a sudden I had used like every pack in the entire game. It really, again, goes downhill fast. But this one's reasonable in terms of pack content. Personally, I am obsessed with the living room. I think the little heart side table is like so cute. I love this one. It has a nice living area. It's got a dining table. We put a bar in there in the corner, but actually the bar I think is temporary because I ended up replacing it it with a fireplace because I wanted to use the new mirror. There's one of the mirrors from the pack is like really high up on the wall and you can't lower them down. So I wanted to use it, but like it didn't work anywhere. So I put a fireplace in specifically just so I could have it. And now, my friends, at this point, we finally have a functional game code. So you can see there was an immediate switch for me. I was like, yes, I have packs. And now we're starting to use other things. Like, for example, first thing I did was try to put a cat tree in. Then I was like, it's kind of ugly because the cat trees have kind of ugly swatches, let's be real. And then I went and got Modern Luxe Kit curtains because the Modern Luxe Kit, I think, fits really well with this like modern penthouse sort of style. There's like 2 different build styles from this pack, and the fancier stuff I think works really well with that kit. I tried not to use too much of it because this was still my era of like, I'm gonna be slightly limited in packs. So I used the Modern Luxe Kit curtains, but I was like, I won't do too much in case you don't have the pack, it'll still function. I also use things like the Growing Together tile wallpaper. I'm not sure if you're into that or not because I had a lot of pink and black in here, but then I used that cool floral wallpaper from the new pack, and it has all of the like dark pinks but also some kind of like teal accents, and so I tried to match the tile to the teal accent color. I kind of liked it, but there were some people in my Twitch chat that were unsure, so hopefully you're okay with it. While I'm working on this though, I wanted to give you some thoughts about the new gallery stuff with the online dating app because I haven't had a chance to talk about that too much on YouTube yet. Because when I first started playing with the pack, obviously I had no gallery access, so I couldn't see the gallery sims in the online dating app. But now it's officially out, so we can actually kind of discuss how that works in the game. So if you didn't know, the new Cupid's Corner app can pull sims from the gallery to populate the dating app. And we weren't really sure how this was gonna work when we first saw it. You can turn it off. There's a couple of settings in game to like adjust how it works. And you can pick between having no gallery sims, having any gallery sims, or only having gallery sims that you've favorited. So you can kind of like curate what kind of gallery sims if you want to. And essentially the dating app usually gives you like 7 people at a time to look at, and you can refresh it every 12 hours. So every 12 hours you're gonna see a new 7 people on the app. And in my testing, one of the 7 was one of the gallery sims. And it's very obvious which one it is because it'll say like made by this person on the gallery. It has their username there. And the rest of them are all townies or like auto-generated townies in game. I'm having some kind of mixed feelings about this because I was having fun seeing what kind of sims were popping up. It can literally be anybody off the gallery though. As long as one sim was uploaded to the gallery, any single sim households can show up in your app. Obviously they have to be young adult or older. It also won't have any custom content, so if sims have CC it won't show up, and if they've got packs that you don't have it won't show up. So like if the entire sim was made out of only seasons clothes and you don't have seasons, of course it's not going to be on your app. The game is smart enough to like exclude things that you don't have, but it can be anybody otherwise. Any single sim households. I was getting sims that were uploaded in 2015. I had a sim that was uploaded yesterday. I mean, it's completely mixed bag random. Most of them were just normal sims, like you would expect. I did see a couple of, I guess I would say, celebrities or like weird sims. For example, I saw Kim Kardashian on my dating app. I saw Elsa on the dating app, and those things are kind of fun. There's a part of me who loves chaos. It's like, actually, it's kind of fun to have Elsa show up in my dating app, right? And you don't have to date them. You can just ignore it if you don't like that sim, so it's not a big deal. But I feel like it has the potential to be a big deal because you don't know what people are uploading to the gallery. I'll just give an example. Like, people make Donald Trump sims. You don't want Donald Trump in your dating app, do you? Like, to me, that's not funny. We've crossed the threshold of being funny, and now it's just kind of distressing. And I'm also looking at this from like a content creator perspective, because if I was playing on my own, maybe it wouldn't be a huge enough deal to want to turn off the gallery settings. I might just like block that person and move on. But because I'm gonna be like live streaming with this, that's like worst case scenario to me, is to have a bad person show up in my online dating app, because it isn't just some random sim anymore, it's offensive. So I don't really know how I'm gonna go about that in the future. I'm still kind of undecided. I personally haven't seen anything like bad yet. I've also only seen like 10 sims from the gallery in my dating app testing, so I'll probably play with it a little bit more and kind of see how I'm feeling, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the future I end up turning it on to just like the favorited sims option. We'll have to just kind of see how it goes over time as we're playing with it more. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that in the comments, because honestly, I did enjoy seeing gallery sims. Like, most of them are fun. Most of them are really good, high quality, like nice sims made by people. I'm just always worrying about how bad actors might use something. And that's honestly just an unfortunate nature of being a person on the internet. Like, I'm always just worried, how are the bad people gonna take this and do something bad? Because they kind of ruin everything, don't they? So I'll keep you updated on how it goes. I'll play with it this weekend a bunch more and we'll kind of see. And actually, speaking of this weekend, this is the last day of our fundraiser for the Simmers for Palestine event. We've been planning this for a while now. The idea was to do a huge fundraiser for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund over the course of the expansion pack release weekend. I feel like it was a good time because there's a lot of eyes on the Sims community kind of surrounding the pack release. And I was planning on doing my own fundraiser, and then I got talking to some friends and we were like, actually, maybe we could try to involve everybody in this. So I've been live all weekend, and today's gonna be my last stream as part of the event. So I'll link my Twitch channel down below if you want to come hang out with us. I'll also link our fundraiser and a bunch of information about it down below too. It's never too late to get involved. I mean, I kind of organized it for this weekend on purpose, but that doesn't mean that you can't do a fundraiser afterward or anything like that. I just feel like when you're talking about these things and like asking for people's help and getting involved, it's nice to have like a day to be like, hey, this is the time that it's happening. I think it's better to have a specific response for like what day, what time, how does it work, than to have it be more vague. But it's not gonna like close, you know, so you could join at any point if you wanted to. Kind of my ask with this is just if people could help to amplify the fundraiser, maybe like sharing the link on their social medias, potentially hosting their own fundraiser on Tiltify if they're comfortable doing so, and honestly just talking about it more. I think there's a lot of power in talking about these things. Money goes a long way, but so does awareness, right? So that's just kind of my intention with the whole event. So thank you again for your help, and we can talk about the build a little bit more for a second. So we're finally working on the patio. I had worked on the patio a little bit before we had all the packs, and now that we have all the packs, I'm like, okay, we can actually do the patio now. Because I wanted to have a bar, and I went back and forth so much on what bar to use, what bar stools to use. I really did not know. I wanted to use one of the new pack ones, but I felt like two of them, because there's three, two of them are way too big, and then the tiny one tile one, I didn't like the colors of it. The black swatch has like a dark brown wood texture to it, and that's fine. It just didn't really fit with what we're using here. I keep talking all about how I really like the new single tile bars, but honestly, I've been yet to use them anywhere. We only have two of them. One of them matches the base game counters, and then this new one is kind of cuter. The new one's a bit easier to use as a standalone, I think. We'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get it figured out. Anyway, we're finally moving on now into one of the apartments. This is the one that I was telling you about that I liked the best. This is one of the teeny tiny ones, the one bedrooms. I actually based this entire thing around the polka dot rug, and that might have been silly, okay, but I loved it. I love that polka dot rug, and we have this really cute light green tile from the new pack that I feel like matches it super well. So we kind of have this like pink and green and purple sort of color scheme going on in here. It's very pastel. Honestly, I used a little bit of pastel pop too. This is where things kind of went downhill kit wise. I said it before, but like with this one, it started off with me thinking like, oh, I won't use pastel pop. And then I was like, oh, but maybe I'll use the pastel pop photo. Oh, maybe I'll use the pastel pop chair. Oh, forget it. I'll just use any kits. And then I had like the bathroom clutter kit in there. I mean, oh, it really became a lot. It is fun to see them all used together. I just feel kind of guilty when I look at my pack list on the gallery and it says like every single one. So I'm just warning you in advance. Anyway, this is kind of the smallest apartment in the building, and I wanted to have this sim have a cat. So they've got a little tiny bathroom right here next to the TV. They kind of have a small desk nook by the balcony door. We've got a living room here. I will say the living room space is kind of laid out a little bit weird just because of all of the door placement. It was kind of hard to figure out where to put the TV and where to put the couch. So it's there and it works. It's not like directly across from the couch, but it's the best you can do in a space that's kind of oddly shaped. This happens all the time in real life too. That couch is from high school years, and I love that it has a little throw blanket and some cute pillows. I also really like the kitchen. I think it's kind of fun to have the bar stools instead of like a dining table or anything. Plus there's more counter space now for cooking. And my chat and I kind of came up with a story for the Sims that live on this floor, because this is the two one-bedroom apartments. The first one is this kind of cutesy pastel pink and green apartment, and next door we're gonna have like a nightmare of a man who lives next door. I'm kind of picturing like Don Lothario's best friend lives next door, okay? Will probably break your heart, has really poor design choices, something that I would never personally live in. I based the entire next door apartment on the snakeskin wallpaper, so we'll get to that in a minute. But kind of my idea with this was that maybe these two clash a lot. I bet this sim is mad about him next door being kind of loud and having parties, and I bet he thinks they're kind of annoying for complaining all the time. But it's like a rom-com, because eventually they fall in love. I don't know if that's a good idea. Should this person date him? I don't know. He seems like a walking red flag. But maybe like you can fix him, you know? Maybe you can change change him. Again, I didn't even actually make Sims. I'm just inventing a story in my mind of these people. But it's kind of like an opposites attract kind of thing. They're a cat person. He's a dog person. They're cute. He's scary, you know, all of that. I'm sorry. But in this bedroom, I used the heart bed. The heart bed is cute. This heart swatch too with like the pretty pink pastels is good. I used the new, it's almost like an Art Deco sort of style wallpaper. I used that and it had this pink, purple, and yellow swatch. So I tried to make that happen. I used the pastel pop rug. That's actually supposed to be like a cookie. And it has all the ruffles, so it kind of matches the arches on the walls. In this room, they've got sort of like a vanity space. They've got some storage. And then we also put a cat tree in here for our beloved cat. Oh my God. Speaking of beloved cats, this one just jumped up. That's my beloved cat. Her name is Snap. She's got like a sixth sense or something. She knew I was about to talk about cats, so she came in. It's kind of scary when that happens. Like, how did you know? How did you tell? That happens a lot in my videos where the cats will just jump up and down on this cat tree or like jump up and down on the chair over there. And half the time I don't even notice when I'm recording. Like I was watching back my review that I posted of Lovestruck, and in the beginning of the video, Sunny was on the cat tree. And at some point she left the cat tree. There was nobody there. And then Snap came to the cat tree. And you can't really tell because in the background, like with it being backlit from the sun and the window, you can't really tell which cat is there. I have two black cats and then this one, Snap, is a tabby cat. But you can't really tell like about her markings when she's in front of the window. So it's easy to not know that it's two different cats. But in that video, there was two different cats behind me. And I fully did not notice them coming and going until I watched it back after I stopped recording. You watch a lilsimsie video, you just see movement in the background. You can't make out what it is. You don't know what's going on. All right, I do have a couple of other life updates though. I tend to use these speed builds kind of like podcasts. I just yap and yap during them. But today when I'm posting this is actually my husband Dan's birthday. He is currently editing this video, so he's gonna hear me say this. But if you want to, you could send him some happy birthday wishes in the comments down below. He's also a Twitch streamer. He streams on Twitch too. He's just Duck Dan over there. I'll actually link his channel down below too. He might be mad at me for this. We'll see. But he's also doing a fundraiser for the PCRF this weekend, so it wouldn't hurt to drop by and maybe send him some birthday wishes today. And now we are finally moving in to the red flags apartment. So you can see the first thing I did was try and pick out the snakeskin wallpaper. Honestly, this might be the first and last time I will ever use this wallpaper in a Sims build. I did do it in one of the penthouses that I posted on YouTube recently, but I don't know. There's something about it that kind of icks me out. I don't think I like the snakeskin wallpaper, but I wanted an excuse to use it for this apartment. We used the cheetah print upstairs. We have to use the snake print, right? So that's kind of like an accent wall. This place is very red and black everywhere. We have the red snakeskin, black wallpaper, black kitchen cabinets. There's black furniture. But then, this is where it kind of goes downhill. I used the bear rug. I probably shouldn't have used the bear rug, but you know how this pack has like a couple of the woohoo blankets? Well, one of them is like a bear skin with a head. And so I felt like maybe this person would have that. They would have the snakeskin wallpaper, the bear skin rug. So I put it kind of on an angle in the room and then I put some couches with it. I figured they might have like a dog or something. And so I found from my first pet stuff, there's like a meat dog bed. I'm not kidding. I wish I was, but I'm not. There's a dog bed that looks like a raw steak. And so I put that in here too. Of course, they have the heart bed. They've got like a bunch of funky wallpapers. This person just has very different vibes than my personal style. That's not to say anybody's style is bad or wrong. It's just maybe not something that I personally would do. And it's kind of fun to decorate like that sometimes, to like decorate in a way that you would never choose in real life. Especially if you're making like 4 houses all in one at the same time. It's cool to have them all be super different. So I actually really enjoyed doing this apartment. He has a really nice balcony too. It's a huge balcony. I put like a fancy entertaining space. There's a bar. We've got a grill. We have a TV on the wall outside on the balcony even. And I put one of the blankets out there because the problem is you can't really use the one that's as a rug because it's like covered by the couches. I didn't test it, but I don't think that you could sit on there because it's being blocked partially. I think if the couches weren't on top of it, it would be fine, but it's quite a small space, so we had to scoot it all together. But I did still put one of the blankets outside so you can still use it. And this is where I started using even more kits because I was looking at the everyday clutter kit and I was like, the shoes, the opened shoe box, the like basketball hat and shoes on the wall, that stuff. That's what we need to have. Oh my God. Hello, Snap. Wow. Okay. She's on my desk now. She just appeared on my lap. Hi. This happens sometimes. I don't hear her coming and then all of a sudden she's just on the desk. I also put a treadmill in this apartment. I wanted to use the new treadmill and I felt like it was kind of reasonable to have one in here. I wish that we had a little bit more space. Like if we had a tiny bit more space for a proper gym room or something, that would have been good, but it's still nice to have. There's also a guitar in here. We've got a fancy bathroom. I put a video game console next to the TV. There's a TV in the bedroom. Literally everything you could possibly need we've got for this bachelor and his bachelor pad. I've been experimenting a little bit more with the custom showers in this pack as well. So we got that shower door from the pack and we also got a little wall shower like the one from university. So I've been using it a fair bit. In most of my builds, I've been putting full walls in there because sometimes I think the half walls make lighting weird, but I tried to do it with a half wall instead in this one, and I'll admit the half wall looks a lot better. The half wall looks like 10 times better than the full walls do, so I feel kind of silly that I had been doing it the other way before. But I actually love this bathroom. I used the bathroom clutter kit to have the messy towels. I put the toilet paper roll just sitting on top of the toilet. No holder on the wall, just sat there. I'm kind of trying to characterize this as that like single, stereotypical, toxic masculinity type of man. Again, Don Lothario's best friend. That's what I'm picturing. In this last room, I really went back and forth on what to do for the bedroom. I thought about using the early purchase content bed, but I figured I'd rather have the heart bed because it was fancier. And I used the like tiger striped version of this. I don't think I've used that swatch yet. I think maybe there's a reason I haven't used that swatch yet, but it's fun for stuff like this. We also have the little set of Polaroids with some people crossed out on the wall for like his exes. And I used the TV with the LED lights behind it from the Party Essentials kit. I know, another kit. But I used that TV and then I got like a little tiny console table next to it for the video game console. And I got that VIP bucket, the base game date reward. I felt like that was perfect for his bedroom. One, it has a flirty mood, so you can turn it on and make your Sims more flirty. But like, of course he's gonna have that in his room. He's trying to show off to his dates. I very rarely use that item. Even when I get it as a reward from dates, I usually just sell it straight away. So it's kind of fun to use it in here. And I also really enjoyed decorating his patio, like I mentioned before. I like to do this sort of built-in kitchen with like the built-in bar and the decor and the TV on the wall. At first I was thinking the TV would be cool behind the bar and grill, but then I was like, do you want to have the TV hung up above a grill? I feel like that can't be good. I don't have a grill and I also don't have a TV outside, so what do I know about realism here? But I felt like maybe it made more sense to have it on the other wall instead. I also used the bubble blower that comes from City Living. I never use that item. It's one of those things that I tend to kind of forget about, so I enjoyed getting an excuse to use it in here because it's fun to have an actual place where it fits. And so I was picturing that if your Sim was playing here, they might like sit at the bubble blower and watch TV. They could lay on the blanket and watch TV. They've got options. He also has a pizza oven next to his grill and like this woohoo LED light. And of course a bunch of speakers so he can play music. I'm picturing him having a lot of parties out here, which I feel like really annoys the neighbors. I think he is like the nuisance of the neighborhood because he's throwing all these parties, keeping you awake at nighttime. I did consider adding in a meat wall. That was a regrettable decision. I did change my mind. I was just thinking about like the meat dog bed that I had and I was like, oh, maybe we could put a meat wall here. No, don't do that. Stop, Kayla. That's a terrible idea. If you haven't seen that meat wall before, it's from Eco Lifestyle. It's like one of the career unlocks. Everyone has access to the vertical planter, but if you're playing in the Eco Lifestyle career, once you get high enough, you get the ability to grow meat, and it literally grows meat on a wall. Like when I say meat wall, I'm not kidding. It is a meat wall. Kind of distressing. So I thought about it, but then I was like, no, it's too much. It's too much. Stop, Kayla. But that finishes his apartment, and we're moving downstairs now into more of like the family apartment. I was trying to think of a variety of different types of households that might live here. So like the penthouse has the 2 single Sims, they're roommates. The middle floor has the 2 one-bedroom apartments, and they belong to the 2 enemies. And then this apartment, I was thinking maybe a single parent might live here, and that single parent is an artist, and they have 2 twin teenagers. I liked that idea because then the parent could try and date, but also the teenagers can use the new date system. Obviously, teens cannot use online dating, like that's not allowed. You need to be 18 for any of those apps in real life too, obviously. But the teens can use the new create a hangout and create a date where you can like customize what kind of date it is. So I liked the idea of playing with teens in this household so that you can kind of test that stuff out more. It's only a small apartment, so they have to share a bedroom, but it actually looks pretty nice when I finish decorating it. I used a fair bit of horse ranch in here, which I didn't really expect, but that rug that's kind of centering the whole room, That's from Horse Ranch. And I feel like the colors match perfectly with the kitchen counters that we did. We did the counters a long time ago and in the very beginning of the build, but I used one of those custom backsplashes from this pack, and it has kind of like a yellow and orange and blue color scheme, so I was trying to channel that in here. I quite like all the mixing and matching of bright colors. I've been doing a lot of it in like all of my builds for this pack, and it's been really fun. I really like the more colorful, vibrant buildings. It's rare that I will do this many bright colors in a space. I feel like I kind of tend to pick a color scheme of like 1 or 2 colors. Like I'll be one to have like a yellow and blue house or like a green and yellow house, or just, you know, like very simple, more specific color schemes. These houses from this pack I've been doing have been a lot more colorful, and I think it's nice to kind of push me out of my comfort zone in that way. They're basically rainbow in the best way possible. I love the bright tile, the terracotta stuff, all of these pretty plants and pretty pictures. It's been a lot of fun. I also honestly really like how different every single one of the apartments is. It was really fun for me to decorate this building. I know I keep saying that, but it's just so silly to have a place with all of these apartments and they're all so different. This is like my favorite way to play The Sims. I know that for rent is like so buggy and it has its problems. I mean, even right now, I can't build this as a residential rental. I'm building it as a regular residential, and then at the very end, last thing I did was swap it to residential rental. I never play as a landlord. I mean, I don't care about a lot of the gameplay from the pack. I do like playing as a tenant in the apartments, but I don't want to own them. But my gosh, building apartments has just been so fun for me. Honestly, I would rank For Rent really high as like one of my favorite expansion packs, just because I like to build this kind of thing so much. I have been dreaming about getting to build my own custom apartments for so long, and so finally having it has been such a blast. So I can be objective and think about how like, yes, it's kind of glitchy, but oh my gosh, I just think it's so fun. And especially like combining it with the new pack, I love For Rent. I really do. I can't help it. I honestly don't think I've ever had as much fun building in The Sims as I had since For Rent came out. It completely changed everything for me, and I always love to build, but I really love building with this pack. That's why I was so excited to do it when we finally could do penthouses with the apartments. Oh, I'm just having such a good time. I'm sorry, I'll stop going on and on. So we're gonna start decorating some final finishing touches in here, and then we're gonna move into the bedrooms real quick. There's a couple little things, like somebody in my chat had mentioned that they hadn't seen me use the new candlestick yet, and they were like, do you hate the candlestick? And I was like, no, I like it, but you're right, I didn't use it anywhere. So I had to go back and add it in a couple times, because I was like, I do like that thing. I should find a place for it. Oh, also with the bathrooms. Now, this is kind of annoying because a couple of the bathrooms, the 2 bigger apartments have no showers, only bathtubs, and the 2 smaller apartments have no bathtubs, only showers. Problem is, the guy with the dog, he has no bath. He can't bathe his dog. Where does that leave us? Honestly, I don't know. I was joking on my stream about how, well, I guess he's probably like a nuisance to the neighbors because he always has to ask to borrow their bathtub. Like, hey, can I come over and wash my dog in your bathtub? And then they feel kind of obligated to say yes because you feel bad for the dog, but like you hate this guy, you don't want him in your house. That's the story I'm trying to tell. So that guy, he has to come wash his dog in this apartment, I guess. So we're working on the teens bedroom right now. And in here, I used Horse Ranch again. They have 2 matching Horse Ranch beds. I also used a ton of posters, kind of a mix of high school years posters and also the posters from this pack. I tried doing a lot of fun accents with like fairy lights and pretty rugs and bright colors. I don't know how I feel about this yellow wallpaper. I don't know if I've ever used that yellow wallpaper, but it's kind of fun to use those things, especially if you don't use them very often. I'm like searching for ways to try and have those items fit in. In this room, they also have a small little dresser in between the beds, and I put a TV on top of it, and then I put bean bags across the way. It's kind of far away. They have a really cheap TV and a really cheap computer in this apartment, but in my mind, I was kind of thinking that it'd be nice to have a slightly more affordable apartment. It's not cheap. It's probably more expensive than a starter home by far. I haven't checked, but I bet this one's probably around like $35K for just this apartment, but some of the others might be like upwards of 50,000 or worse. So I was trying to make this one be like a little bit more reasonable, something that's like normal that your sim could actually afford. Although saying that, I think I just switched the computer out for the 4,000 simoleon laptop. So maybe never mind. That was my intention. Does not mean that it actually worked out in the end. I might have set out to do that, but it looks like I've already ruined that plan. I had a lot more fun decorating the kids' bedroom than decorating the adult's bedroom, to be honest. I loved the color scheme in here. Not that the adult one is bad. I did like doing this one. I used some of the new stuff, the new beds, and this is for the sim who's the artist. So they're gonna have like an easel and the canvases and all of that stuff. These bigger apartments are lucky because they have 2 balconies. They have the big sort of L-shaped balcony plus the smaller one back behind them. And I haven't mentioned the smaller balconies too much in this voiceover, but I tried to put a lot of like useful skill building items around, things like yoga mats, card tables, chess tables, planter boxes. There's a telescope somewhere on the top floor. Just all sorts of things like that would be helpful for your sim to have. All those kind of things that you would wish you had a backyard or a back patio for, we've got the balconies for in this apartment building. But with that being said, we're kind of wrapping up the last minute little details here of the build and finishing up everything. So what I'm gonna do now, once this finishes, is pop back into the game and give you a tour of the fully finished product, because I know it can be kind of hard to see all of this when I'm speeding around, and it's especially confusing in apartments because it's like 4 different houses all at once. So it's like, which one's which? What's going on? What are we doing? So I'll walk you through that in the tour now. I built this over here on this penthouse lot. It's where there's usually an empty house. It's just like a small black building. Let me turn move objects on real quick. And then on the gallery, it's called the Aubergine Apartments, which is supposed to be a little reference to the eggplant costume from the pack. Oh my, it wants to take a while to load, doesn't it? That's kind of scary. All right, we're fine. This is what it looks like with the finished product. The roof is pretty simple. It's mostly just flat up there. I tried my best to have the sides not be too boring, and I feel like it does kind of work with the style of the building itself. I was kind of trying to follow it with the balcony locations. You can sort of see here, like I started my balcony where this balcony starts, and then I stopped it where it stops. So I was trying to make it match. If you live here, everyone will spawn right in this elevator like I was talking about. This is a trash chute. So this works like an outdoor trash can, and I've got one of those on every single floor. So they don't have trash cans in their kitchens because they can just walk right here to the trash chute and throw it away, and it goes away forever instead of like piling up in a mini trash can. Most of the hallways are quite simple. I wasn't trying to do anything fancy in these, but everybody can come outside over here. We've got a grill they can all access. There's a bar. We've got a big dining table, plus there's some lounge chairs and a pool. I even put one of these little drink trays. I was kind of trying to add in things that might be helpful for hosting parties. I also did this with the tile on some of these accent walls. I thought it was quite cool to have these little tile pieces to fill it in. I felt like I could imagine that happening in real life too with some tile accents. So that's on both the front and the side. And we'll start with the first floor apartment. So this is one that we just built. This is for like the small family. When you first walk in, they've got a little entryway table right here, and then the kitchen happens. Through the kitchen, you can access their first balcony. This one has a chess table and just some planter boxes. You can also step ahead into their living room. They've got a TV on the fireplace. They've got a big dining table. They even have a piano over here, and then we also have a small bathroom. This part, I wasn't so sure about this part. I felt like it was kind of a weird aspect of the building because I didn't want to have so many little hallways because hallways kind of feel like wasted space, but I tried to turn the hallway into a small computer desk nook, and then they can also come down this way to get to the other balcony. And this one has a card table. There's like a little meditation stool. We have a bonsai tree. We have lounge chairs. We got a drink tray. We've got a hot tub. And I also put some fairy lights out here. In the primary bedroom, we have some really bright colors. I used a lot of Jungle Adventure in this room. They have their little art corner. They've got a dresser. I put ceiling fans around a lot too because it's probably hot here. And then they have their kids' bedroom as well, and I loved this one. Lots of LED lights and posters and little kids' spaces for them. And then when you go upstairs, we've got the second floor, and this one has the 2 apartments. The first one is this sort of pretty pink, yellow, and green apartment. So they've got their small kitchen, their pet bowls, they've got a little living room area. I put the new card game so you can play like Woohoo or whatever on it. They have a desk nook and also their small bathroom. All the stuff that you could possibly need for your cat is in here. I didn't use the fancy litter box, although in hindsight, I probably should have used the laser one because that's nicer. You can just have your cat's poop clean itself. They only have the one small balcony, but they have a yoga mat and also a small dining table. And then this is their bedroom. They've got a heart bed. They've kind of got like a cat corner. They have a vanity. And I loved this. This is one of the early purchase items. It's this Herbert Hart plushie. So I put that there. And next door, their sworn enemy lives here. In this apartment, it's a little bit bigger, and they also have a bigger balcony for this one. When you first walk in, there's kind of like a small entryway space. They have their gym area. They've got their bathroom right here. And then further into the room, we've got the living room with the bear rug. Oh, I just hate it. They have the meat bed. They've got their small little kitchen space. They have a laptop on here because they don't have a desk anywhere. And they also also have a guitar and a record player, and then their bedroom is through here. This one has things like the costume trunk and the TV, the video games, everything you could possibly need to be a single bachelor in the new world. And then out here on his balcony, he's got a cool setup for parties. We've got like the bubble blowers, the blanket, a dining table, the bar and grill space, including pizza oven, and of course, the woohoo neon light. And then if you go upstairs again, the final apartment, we've got a super tall staircase, but you can get all the way up here into the penthouse space. It has the exact same layout as the first apartment, but just different furniture and different color scheme. So the kitchen is right here. And then coming a little bit further in, we've got the big living area with like the pretty pink accents and the heart table. They've got a small dining table, a fireplace. Same thing, kind of just like a plain hallway to get outside to the balcony. This balcony has a table and a grill and also a hot tub. And then the other balcony over here has a game table, so you can play like cards and stuff there. And actually, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have put this telescope because it's covered by a roof, so it won't work, but that's fine. Just pretend it does, okay? They have one small bathroom up here that's shared, and then we have 2 bedrooms. The first one, a lot of people in my Twitch chat were not so thrilled about this because they hated the curtains. I'm not a big fan of the blackout curtains either, but I hadn't used them anywhere yet, so I wanted to find an excuse to use them. So this room kind of matches the color scheme of the rest of the apartment. They've got a desk, they've got a costume trunk, and they have their fancy little bed. And then in this room, I like this one better. This room, they've got the cheetah print wallpaper. I used the canopy around the bed, and then this little item, oh, wrong thing, touch of nighttime sky. It's like a little bit of starry lights for the ceiling, so I put those in the canopy section of the bed. They also have a little desk corner and like a dresser, but I think that looks so cool with the lights and the canopy, so I loved that part. And that, my friends, is the fully finished build. This has been a long one, so thank you for sticking with me and all the way to the very end. This build is on the gallery if you want to download it. It's just called Aubergine Apartments. And I've posted all of my builds and like all of my sims from early access on the gallery too, so if you're looking for those, you can find them on there. My name's just lilsimsie. And like I mentioned earlier, we're doing a big fundraiser this weekend for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, so I'll link that down below in my description box as well. Thank you for watching. Have the best rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye, everybody. Oh my gosh, I talked really fast just then. I'm sorry. I was getting a little bit excited, clearly. I'm sorry if you couldn't understand me.